Hi everybody, welcome back, hope you're doing well. So today was going to be my planning to pan in 2023 video. However, I recently saw one of Sarah Rose's videos where she reflected on her previous planning to pan, so her planning to pan in 2022 and whether she had actually achieved what she set out to achieve. And I thought that was really interesting because I also did a planning to pan in 2022 video. So instead of going straight in with my planning to pan in 2023, I thought that I would also reflect on that video that I put up and whether I panned all the items that I wanted to this year. So I looked back through that video and there were 11 items that I said that I wanted to pan this year. So I've gone through those items and I've worked out whether I have panned them, whether I'm currently panning them, I've decluttered them, or I just haven't been able to pan them yet. Okay, so let's start off on a high then. Let's start off with those products that I have actually panned this year. And out of the 11, I have panned 3 of them. So the first one on my list is from bareMinerals and it's the Complexion Rescue. So I introduced that product into my project pan in April and I finished it up in June, and it took me a total of 53 uses to completely finish it up. And it actually ended up taking me a lot longer than I thought it was going to take me to pan the product. I did take it on holiday with me in February because I wanted a little bit of coverage, but because I went to the Caribbean it was still quite warm, so I didn't want like a thick heavy coverage. So this is like a tinted moisturiser type of complexion product. So I thought it would be perfect for that kind of weather. And when I took it with me, I had to really give the tube like a big shake to get any product out. So I thought, great, I'll put this in my project pan, it will last me a month, 2 months max, and I'll be done with it. However, when I cut the tube open, I scraped out all the product, there was loads left over. So that's why it took me 3 months in the end and 53 uses. So quite a long amount of times to use that product up. Next up is a lipstick, and this was by Estee Lauder and it was in the shade Intense Nude, and I didn't have much of this left. I probably had half of the lipstick left or just under half of the lipstick left. And I wanted to use this one up because it was quite a dark lipstick on myself. I think it's more of a nude for people who have a lot darker complexion than I do. On me it was like a dark berry mauve pink kind of shade. Lovely shade, but just not really the type of shade I reach for on a day-to-day basis. So what I ended up doing with this lipstick was mostly wearing it as a blusher. Sometimes I would wear it as a lipstick, but it's not a shade that I would kind of reapply. And also because the quality of Estee Lauder lipsticks are fantastic as well. Once you've got it on, you don't really need to do touch-ups. So it was mostly as a blusher that I wore that lipstick. And I introduced it into my project pan in March, and then I actually ended up using it up in September. So it was in my project pan for a grand total of 7 months. And in total it took me 101 uses to completely use the lipstick up. It really felt like whenever I did my project pan updates, it was the never-ending lipstick. It was the item that just did not want to be used up. It just kept going and going and going. But I've now finally used it up, so that is 1 lipstick fewer that I now have. And then the third item that I managed to pan this year was my Vieve Lip Dew. So this is a lip oil gloss hybrid type of product. Really, really lovely. It feels so hydrating and comfortable on your lips. It's not a sticky or tacky formulation, but I just don't like that they've got little bits of glitter particles in it. I'm not really keen on that. If they released a version without the glitter, I would definitely repurchase that. But as it stands, it's not a product I would repurchase, so that's why I wanted to pan that this year. And I managed to do that. I did that right at the beginning of the year. It took me 46 uses in total to use it up, and I had it in my project pan in January, February and March. So a very easy product for me to use up. It's one that I could just keep reapplying throughout the day. I could wear on makeup days, on no makeup days, and it was just a really great size for me to travel with as well. So I would chuck it in my handbag, put it in my work bag, and then because it was a clear gloss, I didn't need a mirror to apply it. So a real easy product for me to pan. So there are also 3 products that I am currently panning. So first up are my 2 Fenty concealers. So I've got 2 in my project pan. One is in the shade 150, which I use for blemishes or any redness or anything on like my complexion. I do find though that that shade is a little bit too light for me. And then I've also got shade 185, which I use under my eyes as like a dark circle kind of corrector type of shade. Now, both of these concealers have been in my project pan since the very start of the year, so since the beginning of January, and they are still in my project pan. I have said also in my recent project pan update videos that if I haven't used both of these up by the end of the year, I am going to declutter them, and that's just because I've noticed that the texture has changed. They're a lot more drying, they dry a lot quicker as well, so where I could apply them and leave them for a minute or two to kind of partially set, I now have to work with them straight away because otherwise they get a little bit stubborn and are difficult to blend out. And I just noticed as well that they kind of like cling to texture as well, so they're not the nicest of concealers to work with anymore, so I think they're probably past their best. So because they've been in my project pan since the very start of the year, I have used them loads of times. So for shade 150, which was my complexion shade, I've used that 170 times, and for shade 185 I've used that 165 times. Now, I have noticed that there doesn't seem to be too much product left in the tubes now, but I'm not at the point yet where I can kind of scrape the doe foot applicator around the tube. I'm still able to get enough product out when I pulled the doe foot applicator out, but there is less product now on the wand. So I have been trying to pan those concealers, but they're just taking a really long time. Next is an eyeshadow single, which I've also had on my project pan since the very start of the year, and it's by MAC and it's in the shade Shroom. Now, I am still panning it. I do have a really nice big pan in it now, so there's not lots of this product left. However, I really don't think I'm going to be done with this by the end of this year, unfortunately. However, like with the concealers, I have tried very hard to pan the product, but it is just one of those types of products that takes a long time to use up. And it's taken me 124 uses this year to get down to where I am now. Now, I can't remember when I hit pan on this eyeshadow, but I was also panning last year MAC Blank Type, which is a matte shade. Shroom is a shimmery shade, and I managed to hit pan on Shroom a lot earlier in comparison to Blank Type. So that was really encouraging, but I'm still not going to be able to finish this shade by the end of the year, but I am trying the hardest. And then the third product that I am currently panning that I did want to have used up by the end of this year is a lipstick. It's also by MAC, and it's the MAC Nic Chapman lipstick, which is a corally pinky peach shade. And I wanted to use this up because just straight out of the bullet, it's not the perfect shade on me. I think it's a little bit too vibrant, but I introduced it into my project pan in September, and I've currently worn it 36 times, and I wear it in conjunction with the MAC Strip Down lip liner that I'm panning because it tones down some of the brownness of the lip liner, but the brownness of the lip liner adds a bit more warmth, a bit more of like a muted toned down version of the coral. So together, they're really lovely. And I do feel like I've made a good amount of progress with this lipstick, and it's also the kind of shade that I can reapply throughout the day as well, so that's helping me get down it. This is also a product, however, that I'm not going to be done with by the end of the year. We've probably got, what, 6-7 weeks until the end of the year. I'm not going to be able to finish that lipstick up. However, once I no longer have a nude, warm, light brown lip liner in my project pan, I am going to move the lipstick out of my project pan. So my opinions on this lipstick have kind of changed a little bit. I do want to pan it by the end of next year though, I think, but I'm in no real rush to kind of get it used up and out of my collection. How I'm wearing it at the moment, I like it, it's nice, so I don't have that sense of urgency anymore with this product. Okay, so there have been 4 products from that planning to pan in 2022 video that I put up that I have decluttered. The first one of which is a foundation, and it's by E.L.F, and it was the Flawless Finish foundation. And I panned this because of 2 reasons. One, because of the smell. It started to smell really funky, not nice, not really wanting to sort of put that on my face. And then also I didn't like anymore how it looked. When I first got it, I really liked the appearance of it, but I think as I've gotten a little bit older, my skin is a lot more dehydrated now, and I just found it wasn't hydrating enough. It was too matte, it kind of clung to any dryness, it didn't make my skin look luminous and healthy and with a nice glow. It was very flat and very drying, and I feel like you could see it as well. If you were to look closely at my face, you could see the foundation, and you shouldn't be able to do that. It should be sort of seamless. You know that somebody has foundation on, obviously, but you can't see it kind of like breaking apart on your face. So I didn't like that foundation anymore, and I decided to declutter that. I also decluttered another foundation, and it was the Estee Lauder Double Wear Light foundation. Now, I did have this in my project pan. I had it in my project pan from January until April, and it took me 39 uses before I decided to declutter it. Now, I can't fully remember why I decided to declutter it. I think it might have been the fact that it had, you know, kind of gone past its best. It was a little bit old. I think maybe it did also start to smell as well. So I probably thought it was best to kind of get that out of my collection. But I had it in my project pan for 4 months of the year, and I got 39 uses out of it. So I did try my hardest to pan this before I decided to, you know, declutter it. And there were 2 lip products that I decided to declutter as well. So the first one was a lip liner, and it was from Max Factor. It was the Pink Princess lip liner, a lip liner that I'd had since about 2015, 2016. So I had it for a long time. Lovely quality, creamy, glides on easily. It didn't tug or feel drying at all. Great pigmentation, but it was just the shade. It was like a bright raspberry pink, quite cool toned, not the type of shade that would flatter my complexion. It's not warm toned enough for me. It's not the kind of shade that I would tend to reach for on a day-to-day basis as well. I had tried to pan it, so I think it was like a unofficial product that I was panning. I was trying to dip into it, try to mix it with other lip liners or lipsticks and find a way that I could make it work. I managed to find a better way to make it work by wearing it with more of my sort of nudie browny orangey shades, but it just still wasn't right. So I decided, you know, I've had this product for 5, 6, 7 years. I haven't used it up in this time. I don't reach for it. Let's just declutter it, get it out of my collection. There's no point holding on to a product that I know I'm not going to use. And then the last product I decluttered was a lipstick by NYX, and it was in the shade B52, and I think it was one of their creamy lipsticks. Now, I decluttered this because, one, it smelled, not because it had gone off, but just the natural smell of it was sickly sweet. I really like vanilla as a scent in perfumes. I think it's beautiful. It's one of my favourite scents. But this was just so overpowering. It was sickly sweet. It made me feel nauseous, and it was just horrible to have on your lips. So I didn't like the smell of it, and that put me off wearing it. But also the shade as well. It was a cool toned light pink mauve. Very, very dupable shade. I think I probably had about 5 or 6 colours within my collection at that time that were very, very similar to it. So it was just another shade that I didn't need. It was also a shade that I didn't really wear as well. So that was another product that just kind of sat in my collection, not really getting used. So when I had, I think it was my more cutthroat declutter, I think I decluttered it in that. And then the item that I haven't managed to pan at all and that I still own are my eyeliners from Peaches and Cream. Now, I'm not really an eyeliner person. I do have a little bit on today, but I don't really reach for eyeliner that often. One, because I'm not very good at it, and 2, because where my eyes are quite hooded, hold on my pencil, where my eyes are quite hooded, if I wear eyeliner, it takes up a lot of that small amount of visible lid space that I have. Even though I try to go for a really small thin line on my eyelid, it still, you know, takes up too much space. So how I tend to wear eyeliner then is either like in the waterline or I tight line with it. So because eyeliners aren't really an item that I kind of wear a lot of, that's why I wanted to use up those Peaches and Cream ones, because I don't need loads of eyeliners within my collection. However, if you love eyeliner and you're after a really affordable one that's so pigmented, lasts all day, creamy, easy to work with, I cannot recommend Peaches and Cream eyeliners highly enough. They are absolutely brilliant. So this is where I feel a little bit torn, a little bit conflicted when I talk about the Peaches and Cream eyeliners, because on the one hand I'm like, I love them, brilliant, excellent quality, and then in the next breath I'm like, I want to get rid of them, I don't want them in my collection anymore. But it's not because of what they're like as a product and how they perform, it's just that eyeliners aren't really my kind of makeup item. So I've got 3 in my collection. I've got a nude one, which is great for the waterline, and I don't think it was that one that I was in a rush or that I really wanted to have used up. It was the 2 other shades. So I've got one in the shade Dynasty, which is a gorgeous burnt copper orange when you wear it alone as an eyeliner. But then when you blend it out all over the lid, it's like a rose gold, so it would go really well with this actually. And that is how I am unofficially panning that item now. I don't have much of it left. I've got it here. This is how much, let me put it in front of my face. This is how much of it I have left, not much at all. And because it's quite creamy, you do need to sharpen it quite often. So it is my intent, I'm putting it out there now, this will definitely be used up by the end of the year. It's in my makeup bag where I put all my project pan items as well, so I am seeing it on a regular basis and going, I need to wear that, I need to use it up. but it's a gorgeous shade. I love it. If I can swatch it for you, it's just, oh, it's just beautiful. And they are so creamy, that they really are. I love these eyeliners. I just wish I was more of an eyeliner fan. And then the other one I've got is in the shade Nile, and this is a gorgeous shade. This is a turquoise bright blue shade, absolutely beautiful. And I think once the spring comes round, and the summer as well actually, this is going to be one that I'm going to get out and wear all over my lid. But it's not really my kind of shade. I bought it because it's absolute, look at the state of that. I bought it because it's absolutely beautiful. But where I'm more into like neutral shades, I don't tend to reach for this that often. So hopefully by the end of this year, no, not hopefully, definitely by the end of this year, I will be done with the orangey shade, and then next year I do actually want to use this one up. The nude one, I'm in no rush because that is quite handy to put in the waterline and make my eyes look bigger. But the other two, I will be panning. So I've tried to kind of work out if there's a little bit of a theme going on between the items that I've decluttered or the items that I've panned. So the items that I've decluttered are 2 foundations, and that's mostly because they've gone off. But I think back then my foundation category was still quite large, so there were some foundations that I just hadn't really gotten around to using up, so that's why they had gone off. I now have 3 foundations. I've got 1 powder, which is the bareMinerals powder, and I've got 2 liquid ones which are new. So hopefully that won't happen again. If I can keep that category quite small, then hopefully no foundations will go off and then I'm not wasting any. And then I also decluttered 2 lip items as well, so that was just really because they're not my kind of shades. So knowing the shades that suit you and your complexion and the type of shades that you like to wear as well is important. Out of the items that I had managed to pan, I managed to pan 2 lip products, but that's just because they are easy products for me to use up. In particular that lip gloss, not so much with the lipstick, but I managed to use it as a blush, which helped. And then 1 foundation, and that was fairly easy for me to use up because that was just my focus foundation. If I wanted to wear any foundation, any base product, that was the one that I went for. Next, the item that I haven't managed to use up are eyeliners, and I've just kind of said about that really. It's just because I'm not an eyeliner type of person, and if you're only going to use a little bit, like just to tightline, it is going to take a long time to use up. If you wear it as an eyeshadow, it's a lot quicker to use that type of item up. And then the items that I'm trying to pan, I don't really think there's any kind of like link with these. I've got a couple of concealers, an eyeshadow and 1 lip product. So overall I was kind of hoping to have panned more of those items this year, but good to know that there's only really 3, well actually 4 that are still on my radar. I'm working on panning 3 of them, but those concealers will be done by the end of the year. The eyeshadow I've made excellent progress on, so I'm not that fussed now if I don't completely use that up anytime soon. Plus also it's a shimmery ivory colour, so that's a shade I'm going to, you know, dip into a lot anyway. And then also the lipstick, but I am working on that. I am trying to find ways to use that up, and also I think that would be a lovely shade for spring and summer as well. And then the item that I haven't managed to use up, the eyeliners, I am working on, so that's really going to help when it comes to doing my planning to pan in 2023 video. I will include that blue eyeliner here, and then I'll look at the other products that I haven't managed to pan this year and whether I still want to include them in next year's planning to pan. So I hope you found this interesting, I hope you found this useful and insightful, and this is really going to help me plan that video. So I'm going to go away now and think about the items that I want to plan next year. So if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching guys, really appreciate it, and I'll see you again very soon for my next one. Bye.